Welcome everybody to Kraft Goals That Stick. I'm Gail Kraft, and I am the founder of Kraft Bravery and Your Business. And we're here today to actually work on getting your goals clear, get them aligned with who you are, and get them in such a state that they're a reality and they stick. So what I'd like to do is first tell you a little bit about who I am. So I have a little bit of a story to share with you. My first success in business started at the age of 28. I had a company call me and they said, Gail, we're in trouble. We're about ready to go under. And I know that you can turn me around. So I'm like, oh, sure, let's do that. I did not know at the age of 28 that they could have gone out of business. I did not know I could fail. So imagine going into this particular situation positive there was only one way to go, and that was up. And sure enough, within a year, I turned that business around to such a point that they were making a profit and had to purchase software before the end of the year in order to avoid taxes. What a success story. And time after time after time, I experienced this kind of success with every business that I worked for. I had a goal at the time, I was from the East Coast, to come to California. And so I focused on what do I need to do to get there. And sure enough, here I am in beautiful California. And when I got here, the successes that I continually had on the East Coast were actually not here for me. I failed twice in a row. So I stopped and said, wait a minute, what is the common denominator here? Why was I successful there and I'm not successful here? I'm the common denominator. What was different between there and here? And honestly, folks, what was different is I had a goal to come to California, but I had no idea what to do once I got here. I had no focus, I had no goal, I had no purpose, I had no intention, so I was floating through life. And my results reflected that. Whereas when I was on the East Coast, I had goals for work, I had goals for school, I had goals for the family. I constantly had things that I was trying to achieve. So when I realized that the difference with me was my focus, I started to get into this coaching process. So how do I change who I am? How do I change what I do? And then even more importantly, how can I help you experience that same kind of change? So here we are today to talk about crafting your goals and craft goals that stick. You want to not only figure out what your goals are, but you want to make them real, you want to make them actual, and you want to make them with intention. So are you ready to get started today? Let's go. So why should you participate today? You want to overcome being unfocused. You want to overcome being unfulfilled. You want to overcome being unhappy with what is going on with your life. And the only way to do that is to really have goals. And we want you to leave with goals that are achievable, things that you can do. You want tools that will help you maintain your focus. So you're not only going to achieve what that focus is, but you want to maintain it on a day-to-day basis. And you want direction with intention. And we're going to talk a lot today about that word intention. And we're going to talk a lot today about energy. And we're going to talk a lot today about how you can achieve what it is that you want to achieve with confidence in your pathway. So there are some few basic guidelines we first want to go over. So let's talk about when you're setting goals and when you're thinking about goals, what are some of the things that need to be part of that process? First of all, you need to honor your health. So whatever the goal is, be sure that it doesn't include a self-destructive component to it. It has to honor your health. It does not infringe on others, so whatever you're trying to achieve is not at the cost of someone else. No part of you objects. So when you are articulating your goal, which we will do a few times during the day before we actually write them down, when you articulate your goal, if you say, I want to make $1 million in like 15 years, and your head is going like this, you don't believe it. So be conscious of what's going on with your body when you articulate the goal. And if you're not 100% engaged, kind of figure out why. Maybe just change the goal a little bit. And then it needs to be self-initiated and self-maintained. If your goal is dependent on someone else, it's probably not going to happen because you're not driving it. You might need someone else to help you, as far as I'm a great proponent for outsourcing, but ultimately you need to find that person and you need to manage them, so it's still you that is driving the activity. And there is more than one way to achieve it. So one of the things that I do with my clients at the end of coaching sessions is we talk about how you get from A to B in 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, and then we talk about more than one way to get there. And the reason is I'm a big believer in mitigation. Is nothing happens the way that you originally planned it. Because life happens. But if you have more than one way to get there, then when that life activity throws you off the track a little bit, it's okay, you have another plan that you can fall back on. And you probably go from plan A to C to B to A to B to A to C. But you have those options already identified, which is incredibly important because you want to keep that focus of where you're going. It's where you're going, not how you're going. And it is appropriate and contextual. And what I mean by that, it makes sense to your overall direction. Okay, so you want to be sure that whatever your goal is, just kind of is common sense, kind of makes sense. So one of the other things that's incredibly important is how you articulate your goal. There's getting to your goal or getting away from where you are right now. And honestly, when I came out to California, I was in this away process. And so instead of having some place to go, I knew where I did not want to be. I knew I did not want to be in the snow and in the cold. So yes, I was in California, but then big deal. In California, big deal, right? So I was not really moving forward. I was like moving away from and then falling back and then moving away from, because as soon as you're far enough away from whatever the pain is, you don't feel the pain anymore. So you kind of stop subconsciously, and we're going to talk a lot about that. So what you want to be sure you're doing is you're moving toward a goal. So rather than not wanting A or not wanting B, let's think of another. Oh, weight is a perfect one. So if your goal is to lose weight, you would not want to articulate your goal about, I'm tired of being fat and heavy. So as soon as you lose 15 pounds, you're not fat and heavy anymore. Then you fall back down. So the person who goes up and down is because they're moving away from where they are right now. But if that particular goal is articulated as, I want to be a size 10 consistently for the rest of my life, that's a different type of focus. And it helps you drive that energy and that intention towards a goal, not away from pain. So when we talk about the language, we want to be sure that we're articulating our goal in a way that moves us towards the goal, towards where we want to be. Okay?